Well, the design of the 8 to me is unlike any of the other cars that the company has built. If you look at the body style, that single A-pillar, it's a BMW. The instrumentation inside reminds you that it's just like other BMWs, except that this one sets itself apart because it is so futuristic looking. And he brought this thing home and described for me that BMW had taken 2 inline sixes, smushed them together, and doubled the coil count, doubled the spark plugs, doubled the everything in this engine, and wrapped it in this technological marvel of internetworking. The car had its own network. Now, I remember him saying that because we were both into networking at the time. He was really the first time I saw this car come to life. It was through his admiration for how this car had been built that I fell in love with it. The BMW, this is the granddaddy Poompa engine of the line. This car has a 6-speed transmission, which was unheard of in the 90s. The horsepower delivered at the factory was 380 horsepower. So after they built this block, the McLaren wanted an engine for their F1, and they came to BMW for it. And so this engine block found its way into the McLaren F1 event. It's a heavy car. It's a GT, grand touring car. It weighs about 4,200 pounds. And by today's standards, that's not too heavy, but in the 90s, that was a heavy car. This car's suspension is a little tighter. Its steering ratio is a little tighter. So driving the CSI, it's like driving a high-performance GT, a highest performance GT. I remember driving this car down the hill behind a Mini in a rally, and they were quite surprised that I could stay on their tail the whole way down the hill. This car is my car. There's no other car for me. It makes me feel like James Bond driving this car. I mean, this car is the Bond car, or the Bruce Wayne car. One of my most memorable experiences was taking my 850, all clean, shiny, to the hilt, in almost perfect condition. And I got to go to the dealership to pick up a part. And I would come out, and the salespeople and the people looking at other cars surround it. They want to know about it. Is this a new model? The car, even today, looks as timeless as it did, as beautiful as it did when it was originally built. And people today mistake it for a 2017 or a 2018 car because you don't see them on the road. That's kind of one of the neat things about this car. See them on the road. It's like seeing Sasquatch. It is so rare. When I see another 8 Series driving along the road, I am so excited. And almost always the other owner waves at me as I want to see what happens technologically. How do we advance, as a species? Where do we go in space and stuff like that? And for me, this car, it being sort of stuck in time is really cool, but I've always yearned to see what BMW would do with a revision, a 2020, a 2025 version of this car, and what kind of technology they would put in it. I mean, he'd be so stoked. With this car, it's almost perfect. Pristine dealer perfection. But the problem I have with that is it's just going to get road rash again, and otherwise I wouldn't be able to drive it. I'd be stuck in the garage. So I don't want to become a garage queen. I want to keep it drivable, and that's what's so visceral and exciting about this car. So maybe I won't do anything. Maybe I'll just keep it exactly the way it is and just drive it.